Hi everyone, it's Morris here. I guess these are out to be more of just game dev vlogs, I guess, um, and less tutorials. But I thought I'd go over the current updates on my BloodSplatter setup. I have gone through about 100 million, feels like, iterations and experimentations on trying to get some just good blood splatter going. At one point, I thought I'd try. Let me see if I can open it up. I my I'll show you what my initial intention was. Hold on. Because I thought it would be cool to have like hit boxes all around the character. Stunt dummy? No. Blood hit boxes. Here we go. Um, and so initially I thought, oh, it'd be cool if if I attach these hitboxes to the rig, um, and then when they get hit, blood would come or spray out of that spot. So it'd feel a little bit more kind of real. But here, let's see what this looks like. But anyway, it didn't work. So okay, this is kind of cool. All right, yay! This is really rough, but you see the general idea. You hit in the head, you get blood spray in the head, you get hit in the leg, whatever, right? Um, the problem is that something goes, something just wasn't working. Once these hitboxes were attached to the rigs, um, the getting the hits was inconsistent, and it just like even though they would trigger, like they would get hit by the bullet. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. It was just a mess. And then all of a sudden, also out of nowhere, I started getting these weird glitches in my animation that didn't happen before. And so I just chalked it up to something about attaching these things to the rig. Just broke something. Even though I was pretty sure these are all. Well, actually, right now, with these, okay, with this, my test thing, they have collisions, but I'm pretty sure when I brought it onto the rig, they had no collisions. Um, anyways, in the end, it kind of, I think, my final solution ended up being much better, much simpler, easier to manage, easier to duplicate, because with this setup, I would have to have like was it one, two, three, like six different boxes for each character, and it's six different things to set up, and like these are things that I'm constantly trying to be aware of, just like trying to minimize and make things in my game as simple as possible. And you know what, like if so what if you hit him in the head and blood doesn't come out exactly from the spot you hit him. I made a joke to someone I was chatting with online that this isn't The Last of Us. Like I'm a one guy dev, and I don't have hundred millions of dollars in funding. This is just me in a personal hobby. So and I also, when I started making my game, I wanted to constantly be conscious of keeping things as much as possible within um, my skill set. I always obviously want to learn and grow and stuff as a developer, as a game maker, but I don't want to make it so difficult for myself that it just turns me off, and then I just say screw this. I'm not working on this. I'm done. And so that means being constantly aware of just keeping things simple, keeping things doable, I think is the most important part. I keep thinking of, and I can't remember the quote. It was, oh my god, I can't even remember his name. It's really late. I'm tired. But the developer of Shadow of the Colossus, he had a philosophy of developing through taking stuff away, sort of thing, right? Like, and it's a kind of a good philosophy because it keeps the devil of the game dev, scope creep. It keeps it at bay because you're constantly wondering and asking yourself, do I really need this? Does the game really need this? And so I chuck this. And then what else did I do? Some of the examples I have I don't have anymore. But so at one point I just thought, you know what? I'm just gonna put one big plane in the center. When his collision box thing gets hit, it just triggers the one thing and whatever. And for a little while it was like, okay, well that's kind of cool. It didn't look too bad. And then again, I was talking to this fellow monkslit on Discord, and it suddenly popped. We were talking about particles, and I was like, I don't know. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, let me screw around with this a little bit more. And then I got something that looked pretty cool. Like oh, actually here, I do have it here. Let me attach it to the spine, and I'm gonna turn it on. And it basically looked like that, which is, you know what, that's pretty cool, but the problem with particles is that the particles themselves are not connected to the emitter. So if you have a fast-moving character, a fast-moving object, by the time those particles have emitted, they're like 10 feet behind the character, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted them to stay kind of attached to the character. So this is like a thing that would be like, man, if they could figure out a way to make the particles emitted from a particle emitter stay connected to that emitter, so if the emitter moves around, those particles stay connected, that would be just mind-blowing. But in this case, anyway, so even though it looks pretty wild, it did not work. And so at one point, then I just decided, screw it, this is too complicated, too much fiddling here and there. I'll just use a billboard. And although I've deleted it since. But for a little while it was cool because a billboard's always facing you, and it's like and you'll get sometimes like those awkward, weird rotations, which I kind of didn't mind because it keeps it feeling a little random. And then I think actually what just started bouncing back. I think I took another look at this. Whoa, that's wild. I took a look at this thing and this particle thing, and I thought, that almost looks like. It almost looks like if I did go back to my plane thing, but I kind of got to go back into Blender for this. And let's see if we can see it. And I basically made this with an array modifier. It's just a plane, and then I stuck an array modifier, and I used an empty to sort of blow it up. Here, well, maybe this part will be like a tutorial. So here, let's put in a plane. Oh, I move that thing over here, and why don't we put the pivot? Oops, sorry. I'm going to put the cursor to the selected, and we'll put an empty there. So we're going to put an empty there, and then on the plane, you just slap, this is for people who don't know Blender. I'm sure many of you already know this. I'm going to stick an array modifier, and I'm going to not do this. Let's bump it. I'm going to make 5 copies of this thing, and I'm going to use an object offset. So what I'm going to do is, where are you? Is use the empty. So then all I got to do is just select that empty, and then just go to town, which is pretty much kind of what I did. Just scribble that thing around. Go back to this, apply it, boom, it's done. Now I don't need that empty anymore, and I have this thing. And then all I needed to do was, well, let's go in the shader view, is just apply material to it. Each plane basically has a copy of that, or it has the exact same type of UV. So let's go to my material, boom, blood. And I was like, oh, you know what? That would be really cool if I just, and nice and simple. I have the control of what I had with the billboard, with a kind of almost look of those particles, and I'll show you some of the things I added to it to kind of make it feel extra. So here, let's go in here. So basically, I'm attaching that blood thing to, where are you? He's hidden. There we go. Ugh! We attached it to that spine bone, and I've just bumped it forward a little bit, just because it felt, it kind of, most of the time when you're seeing this guy get hit, you're seeing it from the front, about 75% of the time, or 80%. So I figured it makes more sense to bump it in the foreground a little bit. If you happen to see him getting shot from the back or the side, it still looks kind of cool. And everything is pretty much set to like its default parameters. Like there's no rotation, scales at 1. The only difference is this position value has been changed a little bit to 0.075. What's controlling it is the enemy boy's collision box here. So and I'm using the game actor with health behavior to drive this thing. So first things first, let's turn that blood splatter visibility off, and then go back to this thing, to this behavior. Okay, so what's happening? Let's move this up a little bit. So so I'm using this action on hit. So when I'm using this to drive what happens with that blood thing. So let's go see what's going on inside. So I'm doing a couple things. First thing I'm doing is I'm unhiding it. I'm making it visible. And then I'm setting it to a random position. I'm going to share this this script I kind of cooked up. The other day I started attempting painfully to write my own action script, and I kind of got about I don't know, maybe 80% of the way there, or not even, I don't know. It was, I got it to a certain point and then it just wasn't fully working, and my lack of coding brain couldn't figure it out. So one of the geniuses on the Discord group, oh, let me see if I can find him so I can give him some credit. Scripting, where are you? Oh, Sam Grady. I believe it was Sam Grady. Yeah, just double checking. He took that script I started and then was like, oh, okay, well, this is what you did wrong. And I was like, all right, cool, that works. And then like 2 minutes later, he's like, but you know, if you did this, it would be that much better. And then like 2 minutes later, he's like, well, let's just make it a little bit better. And then like 2 minutes after, and then like he he took it like to the next level. And it's still a nice simple script. Simple enough that I was able to understand what he was doing inside of it, more or less, and reconfigure it. So now there's I created this random position action. So basically all this does, all this like random rotation and random position does, is that every time it's triggered, it just moves it to or rotates or moves it to a different position. The rotation one, and each X, Y, Z is separated, so it's just easy. You just punch in, okay, like for my random parameters, it's basically 0 to 360, and anywhere within that, it's going to find a random value and pop it. And so in this case, I put 360 for each of the X, Y, Z, so then that way it's always randomly changing in each axis. So every time you see that blood, it should be in a random rotation, randomly rotated. And I modified that script to be, and I took also, and where is it? Oh man, do I still have it here? I took, like, reverse engineered from another script. Let me see if it's in here, if it comes up. I'm not going to get into the whole coding thing right now because I am the wrong person to do it. Come on. It's still loading up. Holy moly. No. Oh, can I restore? Holy moly. This program. Open recent. Okay, yeah. I took this script. There's a script. I don't know if it says who it's written by, but it's a script that says it's called set random value, and so its job is to send a random value. You set a min max kind of thing, and it sets a random value to a variable, and it's super helpful and pretty cool. And I took this kind of math logic, this min max kind of thing, and reversed engineered that random rotation. And I'm not going to get into it too much, and changed it into a random, sending basically this random position. So you set a min max, like I want this to move minimum down here and maximum up here, and anything between that, find random values. And so in this case, I set that BloodSplatter to find a minimum of minus 2.5 and plus 2.5. So basically it moves that BloodSplatter from like down around like his thigh level to like about his like top of his forehead level. So anywhere here that BloodSplatter will like appear. Alright, and at the same time it will have a little rotation every time. None of these are animated, by the way. It's just popped into that position, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm going to try and reverse engineer this one tomorrow when I've gotten some sleep and make it into a random scale. So then that way, if I ever need something to just randomly scale to be at a certain scale every time I see it, so better. I think it would be handy dandy. Anyways, let me go on. Then I bought this today, the script from I believe the user is Hadoken. So he called it Action Hadoken do by proxy. So what it's doing is like a probability kind of thing. So and you have two choices. It's like if it's true, do this. If it's not, do that kind of thing. And I guess my understanding, my simple-minded understanding is that it's basically throwing like these random values and a probability chance of doing one or the other, right? And so all I'm doing is I'm changing the texture, change texture of that BloodSplatter. And I have two textures. So again, this is all just it's probably impossible to see, but I figure it's just these little tiny things that might help offer a little bit of randomness and a little bit less feeling like it's just there's the same texture. There's like the kind of like when it's wrong, the player can really notice it, right? And so it's one of these things. Maybe the less they actually they are even aware of it, the more successful it is. So what else we got? Change attributes of scene node. So what this is doing, so this is the animation part of it, right? So it starts the blood. I'm gonna pop out of here for a second. May as well turn it back on. The BloodSplatter starts off at scale 1, right? And that's as big as it is. I'm like, you know what? That's pretty good. And what that action, change attributes. It will change a specific attribute of an object or a node, I guess. In this, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but it changes a specific property of it. And in this case, and also this action gives you the ability to not only change that property, but to have that change happen over time. So you can basically animate it, And so what I have going on here is I said the property is called scale, and I set my new value to go from, so it's going to start at size 1, and it's going to quickly scale up to size 6. And I'm going to do that in 400 milliseconds. So it's pretty fast. It's like less than half a second. And here we go. And then so now I'm thinking, okay, my thing is going from beginning scale to end scale in 400 milliseconds. And at a certain point, I don't want it to just pop off. I want it to have a nice little fade off, right? If I can. Sometimes it does a little pop, It's probably just too much for the engine to handle, or whatever. But an ideal situation, it will scale, and at 300 milliseconds, it'll start to fade off within 100 milliseconds. So it should fade off before we reach 400 milliseconds. So here, so at 300, it's going to start to fade out. Here we go. BloodSplatter. This is, and again, another script that someone, oh my god, my brain, you know what, I'm going to find, because I got to give these people credit. I believe that this was written by, oh my goodness, where's my brain? Hold on a sec. Oh, the guy who started this, the guy who started this Discord group. Oh no. Well, okay. On the Discord group, he's just in case. Let me see if I can find him on itch. Yeah. What? Ishaio. Where are you following? It is glitched velocity. Here we go. I'm pretty sure I got that fade out script from this lovely gentleman. It's somewhere in here. And anyways, it's a thing that will fade out an object. And in this case, I'm using that for the blood. So it's fading out at a fade out. See, it's toggled on at 100 milliseconds. So it will be gone by the time it reaches the end of its scale cycle. And then I also have some sort of like, before the blood splatter gets created again, it has to do a couple things to reset a few things. So action when complete. So that means when the fade out is finished, it's going to change some attributes. It's going to set the scale back to 1. It's going to fade back on, because I noticed I had to reuse this tool because I noticed couldn't figure out how to get it to turn on again once it's been turned off or faded off. So I just used the fade out tool in reverse. It's, instead of fading out, it's fading on, but it's happening at 1 millisecond, so it's almost instantaneous. And last but not least, I'm just making the blood invisible again, so you don't see it. And then that pretty much works. I don't know how, but it works. It resets the blood so that the next time this dude gets shot, boom, it's ready to go. And I think that is kind of it. So yeah, let's take a look. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. I don't know. Let's just have some fun. Shoot things. So I have a really slow moving bullet. So let's see my dude. Oh, and his blood's on here. Let me turn that off. No blood. Right. Whoa. There you go. Blah, 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 blah. So he's got a lot of blood spraying all over the place. My bullet's getting in the way. It's, like I said, it's not lastless, but you can see how like the blood appears at different places. The rotation is always different, and it doesn't even matter. Like, he's moving so much. And it's switching between 2 different blood textures. It's all red, but it's just slightly different. Yeah, there we go. So I gotta do something about it. It seems like he has to get extremely close for his hits to actually affect my health. But anyway, so let's keep shooting him. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of neat. Sometimes the blood will shoot out of his head. Sometimes it shoots out of his stomach, and so a second there just shot out of his crotch, which is hilarious. Oh, there he goes. He's dead. Anyways, I think I'm going to stick with this blood. Time to move on. Now I gotta populate my my area with scary little boys with little weird helmets. All right, that's it for tonight. Where is the program? All right, you guys have a good night. Hope you get some good sleep, and we'll see you in my next video, I guess. Take care. Bye.